Glad you could join me today. Today we're going to make peanut butter cups. They're homemade and they're quite tasty, and if we make them once and you try it at your house, you'll likely never buy the kind in the store ever again. You'll just make them yourself. So I'm going to give you the ingredients. It's a super simple recipe. It's 100% gluten-free. If you're allergic to nuts, this is not for you. But if you're not allergic to nuts, this is a super easy recipe and very tasty. I'll give you the ingredients. We have a half a cup of peanut butter, half a cup of brown sugar, a half a cup of icing sugar, and a half a teaspoon of vanilla. So it's half of everything. So that's a pretty simple recipe to remember. Now for the chocolate mix, which is what you have to put on the bottom of your baking pan and on the top of your little peanut butter filling, there's a quarter of a cup of butter. It's going to be melted with a cup and a half of chocolate chips. And that's all there is to this recipe. Super simple. You don't have to bake it. It's a nice treat at Christmas time. You can haul this out, or you can make it up and give it to somebody as a gift, and they're going to be really happy that you went to this kind of trouble for them. So let's bake. Or as often the case is, this is not a bake item, so it's not a let's bake, it's let's not bake. So I'm going to put the first 4 ingredients. So that's the brown sugar, the icing sugar, the peanut butter, and the vanilla extract in a bowl, and I'm going to mix this all up. And depending on the size of these little candies you want to make, you can put them in smaller, I use cupcake papers myself, but you can put them right in my muffin tin, but you can put them in the little tiny tart pans, or you can just make them as a little round ball and not like a cup at all, and then roll them in chocolate. This is just easier. It's a cleaner, less fussy way to make this, and I just find it's a nice presentation when you're done. If you want, you can buy the fancy little Christmassy papers to put them in, whatever you like. And they'll look just like a peanut butter cup. And they'll taste much better than a peanut butter cup. And there is 0 additives or preservatives in them, so they're great to give to somebody that's got a few allergies and don't want to add extra bits to their life that aren't necessary. So you can see that the dough that we're making is a little firm. You want it to be, fairly solid. And what I usually do at this point is I dive right in with my hands, which I've already cleaned before we started this process, like I always do. And I try to divide it up in 8 or 10 little balls of dough for the center of the cupcake paper when we get in there with the filling. So some of them are a little bigger and some of them are a little smaller, but that's what we have to do. You have to work away at that. So 12 should do the trick. And while I'm taking all this time to roll these up into 12 little circles, I'm going to take this opportunity to tell you at the end of this video there's going to be an extra recipe. It's not one we're going to make, but if you're a competent baker, you should be able to do these without any directions by me other than the simple recipes that are in the description box below this recipe. There will be a nice recipe for these peanut butter cups, and directly below it will be a bonus recipe for you. So it's hard to get all the little Christmas recipes out in time for people to be able to make them, so I thought it would be a nice little plus if we did that. So we've got, what do we got? 2, 4, 6, 8, we've got 10. So 10 is what's going to be in it today. So sometimes it's 12, sometimes it's 10. You make them a little smaller if you want 12. I've got 10 little fillings and I'm going to leave it at that. Now I'm going to go to the next step. Okay, now I'm going to take the chocolate chips and the butter to the microwave, and I'm going to melt them. 30-second blast. You don't want to do it any longer than that. You don't want your chocolate to crystallize. So the best way to do is 30 seconds, stir 30 seconds, and it should be good. And if you need another 30 seconds, you can do that. And then I'll come back and show you how to build the little peanut butter cups. Okay, so I've melted my chocolate, and as you can see, it's quite juicy. So you take some of this and you put it in the bottom of these cupcake papers. You want to put a little bit in the bottom and spread it around when you're done. I only have 10 discs of peanut butter, so we're only making 10 of them. So you put a nice helping of chocolate in the bottom of each one of these cups. Like I said, I just do it in this because it's much easier to clean up and they look more like a real peanut butter cup. They're a closer size. You'll see at the end when I take them out of the papers and put them on the plate for you to have a look. There we go. So you make sure you leave some for your top of your cups as well. You can't put it all on the bottom or you'll have nothing to cover them. And sometimes that happens. You've used it all and you don't really have enough for the last one, so you can just flip it over or into the chocolate so that it has a light coating of it on the top. There's all kinds of ways, if you've cooked a little while, to figure this out. Right, I'm just going to take the fork and I'm going to stir that around to cover all of the bottom of the little paper. You just don't want any uncovered areas, because when this hardens up you want it to be released from the paper and not show the peanut butter filling. So it's just easier to spread it around at this point. Okay, at this point what we're going to do is I've flattened these little discs a bit while I was waiting for my chocolate to melt, and I'm just fitting them into the bottom, nestling them nicely in that little bit of chocolate that's on the bottom of the muffin cup. And these are fun. They make a great gift. They're great if you have to go to a little office party or anything like that. Somebody's little housewarming. You don't just have to have them during the festive holiday season. You can have them any time of year. Alright, I'm just going to take those other two little paper cups out. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put chocolate over the top of these, and then I'll show you what I'm going to do next. Okay, now that we've got all this chocolate on here, you need to spread it all around and cover the top. You can use a fork, you can use your finger, you can use a spoon, you can use a stir stick, whatever you know you have that's handy. And make sure that you stuff it right to the edges of the paper cup. It's still quite liquid and it'll drizzle, work its way down around the little peanut butter filling. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing or not, but these are loads of fun to make. And if you want, when you're done, you can make little curly cues or fancy bits on the top if you want them to look fancy. Now, if you do take them to a party or a work event, make sure that you label them so that if there's someone there that has a peanut allergy, they're not going to get into your peanut butter cups by mistake. Most people are quite careful, but I always say it's best to label. When I go to the family reunion or any little party that I'm attending and I'm taking something, I always tell everyone, or label it if it's a big crowd, so that they know that this is going to be you know, something they really shouldn't get into. But with the celiac, it's been a bit of a challenge for me to convert all these recipes over, and I've been at this quite a long time now. And by doing this program, I thought maybe it would help people that didn't know how to do these things, because it is quite a challenge when you first start. You can produce some very difficult to make food, and when you're done it's not very nice. But these things have all been made many times by me and tested by our fussy household. So there's what our peanut butter cups look like when we're finished. We're going to put them in the fridge and let them set up. Then I'm going to plate them. The recipe is going to be in the video description box below, and there will be a bonus recipe which you can make over the holidays for yourself. Some of them are a little more complicated. You can tell by the recipe when you read them, and some of them are very simple. So you can choose, and I hope you'll give this little recipe a try. I think you'll really enjoy it.